on Film, and today I'm covering the film His Only Son, which is a retelling of the biblical narrative of Abraham and his testing as he is leading up to giving up his only son in a sacrifice, and that all concludes in a major outburst that is going about as he faces what it means to have faith in God. So let me know down in the comments below if you have even heard of His Only Son, which is a limited release in theaters, and so let me know your personal thoughts on this film if you had a chance to see it, or if it'll encourage you to go out to see it and support this limited release. So overall, just with the general narrative, it is predictable in its own sense, just because me as a follower of Christ, I know the story, I know the general idea of what is going on. So does it hold up with its emotions? Yes, it does. It really does carry on the momentum that it's going for, and I didn't expect this to ever be a story told in film. I didn't think I need a film that it tells Abraham's struggle with his faith and how he has to go about with his sacrifice. There has been many times where I have thought myself or thought within the youth group about the idea of how does each of these characters interact. And while this story does contain extra information added in order to elongate the film or stretch the ideas of what this could have been like, because it's not as in the Bible, it's not exact line for line dialogue and step for step along the journey that they're going on in order to bring Isaac to the place of sacrifice. And so what this film does is still really good, and I've heard it compared to The Chosen, which I still have to watch that series. Let me know down in the comments below how you want me to cover that. But in general, I just really enjoy what this film had to offer with its narrative, with its set location. The cinematography makes it look like there's extra passion poured into this film from David Helling as his directorial debut, which is really performed well. The cast is really picked out well. It feels real, it feels immersive, because it's retelling what is meant to be as a biblical retelling that I just really didn't expect this type of story to come to cinema, and yet here it is, and it becomes that much better of a film. And yes, I am biased by my own personal faith of how I perceive this film, but still, as a film critic myself, it does hit the right notes with its music, with its cinematography, with how everything gets set up, the locations, the costume, how everything is looking visually and as well as sounding. And even though they're speaking English, to which that wouldn't have been the native language that they would be speaking during that time, it is an easier to digest film for Americans that aren't going and leaning into foreign language films as I might have. And so just the way they bring that about makes so much sense for what it's going for and how well it's going to potentially be received, because there's a director's message at the beginning and a prelude to the end that suggests that there could be more films coming from David Helling, which I would be excited for. And I do encourage you to go out to see this film if you have any near you, even an hour away, and you may be supported in some sort of way. I hope you can go watch this film in the biggest screen possible. And I just highly enjoy the atmosphere this film carried and Abraham's emotions, the things that you suggest that if you know the story, what's going on beforehand, you see the actors' subtle suggestions of knowing what's going on, the weight being carried, and almost things being egging you on to be triggered by certain moments by knowing what's going to happen next, because of how well it starts up the film with Abraham speaking to be God and being told to sacrifice his son. And so the way it goes about that from beginning to end, with flashbacks cutting back and forth from present day on the journey to the place of sacrifice, as well as the older days with the relationships of Abraham and Sarai and how they got to know each other, the faith that Abraham had to put in God, even though he was worshiping other gods before he believed in the one God, and just the way it goes about that, the storytelling, the ideas it carries just feels so real. Putting Paige onto screen, and even though there's the added scenes that carry out the film to get a general visualization of what the story could have looked like, it does not bring any offense to what the faith looks like for what I perceive, in my personal opinion. So that's just personally all I got to say about this film, rating it a 9 out of 10. And I'd love to know what you thought of my message down in comments below. Is it going to push you to watch this film, or did you just get something that doesn't quite fit your vibe of going into seeing this film? So that's just all. Thank you for watching, and be sure to check these videos on the end screen now.